Thousands of cell phone users were without service this morning as multiple carriers reported outages, which even affected 911 emergency services in many areas. And so, by the way, if you called me this morning, I didn't answer. That's probably why. So, according to reports, the Federal Communications Commission, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security have investigations underway, but no details have been released. Also, one of the nation's largest healthcare technology companies experienced a cyber attack yesterday. They said it came from the outside, leading to delays in processing prescriptions. So the question is, has the vulnerability of our systems been exposed? Well, joining me now by phone, I think because of some technical difficulties, Congressman Tim Burchett. He serves on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, also the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He represents the 2nd Congressional District of Tennessee. Congressman, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you so much. It's kind of ironic that we're having technical difficulties on a day when we're having technical difficulties.
Yeah, well, we got to be ready for everything. We've got the smoke signals out back ready too, just in case. So,
yes, sir.
What do we know so far about today's outages?
Not a whole lot, other than it's a little unusual, Tony, in the fact that they've had, we've had these solar flares, sunspots, if you will, type of situation in the past, and that's what they announced. And today they've announced that in fact, I believe the FBI is going to be investigating this, or is currently investigating this as a case of either espionage or some sort of hacking or some type of thing, which always brings to mind, is this the Chinese? Is this some of our enemies? And the way they operate is they'll do these little test runs to see how we operate. It's sort of like Ukraine. They're watching everything we do. They're watching our supply chains. They're watching our political movement. They're watching the country's will for war. And this is the type of thing that they would pull to see, if that makes sense to you, to see how we would respond if they needed to go with an all-out shut, which I'm afraid they have. They very much have the capabilities of doing to us due to the fact that we have sold our souls to the Chinese with technology and computer chips. As you know, it's been reported that even some of our fighter aircraft with the Chinese componentry, there was talk that they could be able to shut some of those down if we were to enter into a conflict with China. So we've really we're so compromised from the White House down. I'm afraid that this is very much a reality of our world today, and we need to get that. Begs the question: why are we not producing in this country?
So this could be like another test balloon going across the country to see how we respond.
100%.
It's interesting that last week, actually last Thursday in Munich, the FBI director was there, and he was warning about this very thing. He said that Beijing's efforts to covertly plant offensive malware inside U.S. critical infrastructure covered everything from water systems to aviation. So we're watching them. He seems to be sounding the alarm. I think they should be looking very closely, I would think, at China as possibly being behind this.
Absolutely. That came to mind this morning when we were receiving notices that this was going down. They're the ones that are capable of doing it. They're the ones who have an agenda. They're the ones who have complete control of this situation, I feel, and we're in trouble if we're not careful.
So, Congressman Burchett, you serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee, so you know a lot of the stuff that's happening around the world. How do we need to be prepared for this? I mean, this could just be the tip of the iceberg as to their capabilities, as you've alluded to, even into our military aircraft. What does America need to be doing to be prepared to face off with what I believe is our greatest threat, and that is Communist China?
Yes, sir. I think my survival instincts take over. My dad was an old World War II Marine. Of course, Mama and him both survived the Depression, and he was always prepared. And we are not prepared as a nation. If we were to, say, if our food supply of electricity was cut off, if they were able to do this on a large scale type situation, what would happen? Our system would completely shut down, which in my opinion, a lot of the people in Washington, that is what they're trying to do to us financially. Now we've allowed the Chinese to invest in our farmland. They own large amounts of property near our military bases. This is not conspiracy theorists. This is reality.
Right.
They are in major areas of our food production and processing, hence meat processing. We passed all these incredibly strong laws under the guise of protecting Americans' health, when what we've done is we've taken meat processing on a large percentage out of Americans' hands and put it in the hands of foreigners. It's the old days where a big chain would come in and offer gasoline at a reduced price, cheaper than anybody else could even buy it at, and then they put everybody out of business. And everybody thinks, well, that's great savings. Well, then they go over there, rush over there, and put all their locals out of business and all the locally owned businesses. And then what do? They raise the price up, and because they control that commodity. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. We need to demand from Congress. We've got laws that we're trying to pass that are bogged down because the reality is our national chambers of commerce, not your local chamber of commerce that greets new businesses coming down, but our national chambers of commerce. Do you remember they endorsed, I think, 12 or 14 of some of Nancy Pelosi's closest allies in Congress?
Right.
These people are not pro-business. They're not pro-America. They're not pro-commerce. But they've allowed that to happen. It's the, I hate to say the one world government crowd,
right.
The crowd that thinks they know a little bit better than we do how to manage our business, and they will tear us down to our core.
Well, and they're working at it. They're working hard at it. They're nonstop. Congressman, we're up against a break, but ultimately this is going to require a strong chief executive who is willing to take on China and say,
yes, sir,
this isn't going to happen on my watch.
Right now we are completely compromised. Our military, I know today another Navy member of the Navy was busted for espionage, passing off plans to or computer information to a foreign. They haven't released which country it is, but I think it's pretty safe. We've already happened twice before with China.
We got to leave it there, Congressman. We're out of time up against this break, but we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for joining us, Tim.
Yes, sir.